How's it, everyone? Today we're going to be crafting a pair of Armour Stacker Gloves very similar to this pair. The modifiers we're looking for on our prefixes, we're just looking for high energy shield and then either benched physical converted to lightning or just more energy shield with either percent or hybrid. For our suffixes, we're looking for essence attack speed that rolls higher than tier 1 and then high intelligence and high fire resistance. In order to get started with this, we need a base. We're going to be using Warlock Gloves. Item level 84 is preferable so that you can hit tier 1 fire resistance without going to item level 85 where you start hitting things like tier 1 dexterity and accuracy. Those are things we don't really want. So item level 84 is good. These are over quality gloves. So these have 25% quality. I paid 6 divines for these. These are unsplit. However, we can create copies. You can buy split copies for 4 divines each, or we can create 3 copies for about 7 or 8 divines. So what we're going to do, firstly, I want to get this thing's base percentile higher to 83 preferably, 77, 74, 76, 78. There we go. So the base percentile is now maxed. And then the thing we're going to do is we're going to split it. So before we do that, we just want to, I guess we can like chaos spam it. And we just need 5 mods like that. Perfect. We're going to bench on a 6th mod. So this now has 6 mods, which we're going to need because we're heading over to the menagerie to split this guy. So in the menagerie, there is a combination of beasts. That is the Venomous Plague Arachnid. This is normally to split, but if you combo it with a Black Morgan, you can split it into 3 items with 2 mods on each item. So if we do this, now we have 3 bases, which is exactly what we want. We're going to need a few bases because we're going to go for a fracture on these, and we could fail. So we should have enough now, unless we get a bit unlucky, but let's try. So the next step is we're going to head over here, and we are going to use Essence of Woe. Essence of Woe gives us not quite tier 1 flat energy shield, but pretty close. So tier 1 energy shield ordinarily is 39 to 49. This rolls from 38 to 45, so it's almost tier 1. So we're going to use this until we get something like this. Would actually be a decent fracture target because it's got the lightning res, which we could swap to fire, but we're looking for actually tier 1% energy shield. That would be ideal. We don't actually want to fracture a suffix. You can, if you want, go for the fractured attack speed, but it makes the rest of the craft a little bit tricky. So we just need that tier 1% energy shield, which I think is about a 1 in 40 to hit. These are about 1 for 40. I mean, a divine for 40 of these. So it's going to be about a divine of woes to hit that tier 1. There we go. This one is I'm gonna do the next one. See if we can get it. So these are the right mods, but very low roll in the flat, which I don't love. So we can either divine it or go for a just re-roll it until we get that same mod again. But like I said, it's about a wow. This one would be a really good one to fracture, but that's tier 2. We can go for the YOLO Divine and see if we hit it. There we go. This one's much better. So this one has tier 1, and then 5 modifiers, but we can safely get rid of a suffix if we use Blue Influence and then an annul. So we apply this Lesser Ichor. Now our Eater of Worlds is dominant, and then when we annul, it's only going to annul a suffix. So this is what we need. For the fracture, it's going to fracture a random mod on an item with at least 4 mods. So we want to have as few modifiers on it as possible, which is 4. And then we can do this one. There we go. The flat is top roll. The percent is bottom. I think, you know what? Let's use 1 divine. It's a little bit naughty on this one. See if we can get this a little bit higher. 41, 100. Okay, that's looking much better. So the next step is fracturing. Fracturing, super expensive. These are about 7.5 divines. So that's why we have used these woes until we have 2 potential targets. If it's just 1, then it's a 1 in 4. Instead it's a 2 in 4, and we hit life. There we go. We got the tier 1 flat. And let's just do the other one for fun. We got dexterity. So these two are dead, unfortunately. This one's absolutely fine. Now, we have our fracture. And now the next thing is we need to go for suffixes. So we need attack speed, intelligence, and fire resistance. So what we're going to do, Essence of Zeal, and we're going to roll until we hit, let's say, a tier 1 fire or any resistance, because we can swap it with Harvest. And then the other mod we're looking for is tier 1, or I guess even tier 2 intelligence. So let's just set that to 1 to 55. And there we go. So this should pick up any of those mods. Now, roll past that. There's our tier 1 intelligence. Actually, our regex is not working. There we go. So this has our tier 1 int, which is perfect, but we're missing the resistance. So we're just going to grab a normal annul. We don't care about our prefixes. So hoping to hit the dexterity, which we failed. So now we just keep on going. Cold res, lightning res. Tier 2, we could... At this point, you could go for the YOLO slam if you're willing to settle. Like, if we hit tier 1 int now, which we didn't, you could settle and just be like, it's 3 resistance difference, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, there's tier 1 int. So let's quickly... We don't want to waste exalts. If we slam this, it could hit a prefix, which wouldn't be a problem, but it is just a waste of currency. So we're going to block a prefix, and then we're going to slam it. Didn't hit resistance. So what we're going to do, remove crafted mods, and then grab that annul. Again, we don't care about our prefixes, so we're not wasting currency on Eldritch annuls. But let's just see, can we hit the life? No, the attack speed is gone. And I've lost my regex. This regex is so buggy. Actually, what we can do instead is just craft in the crafting bench. Then we can't use our regex, but we just need to use our eyes, and hopefully we can see it. There was the fire res. That's tier 1 fire res. Perfect. So block mana, low chance of hitting int, but maybe enemy killed. So let's just actually go 25 to 34 and remove crafted mods. So we're going to remove that. Can we annul the suffix? Nope. So we keep going. There's tier 1 int, so can we annul off the accuracy? We did. And now slam fire res. Enemy killed, annul that off. Nope, it's dead. So you might be thinking at this point, why am I not going for lock suffixes reforge fire? Main reason is that the fire prefixes. So we could hit that, and it's probably going to be more expensive. Here we have cold res. Enemy killed, that is tier 2. I think, let's see. Nope, that's dead. Okay. Tier 2 int. Tier 2 int, we can work with this. So if we slam on tier 1 res, like that, this is absolutely a keep. Unless you're going for perfection, then you only stick with a tier 1 like these, but I am more than happy with tier 2. So we're gonna keep this. What we can do now, in fact, is we can swap our resistances with Harvest. So in order to get this to perfectly rolled fire res, we can go lightning to fire. So we're going to swap this lightning to fire. And that's 47. If we want it perfect, we could go back, fire to lightning, and then lightning to fire. And there we have effectively divined our suffixes. Now, I guess this is going to be the slightly more expensive part. We need to sort out our prefixes. So for our prefixes, we want to make our exarch dominant. So we're going to use red influence. So now our exarch is greater, our Eater of Worlds is lesser. So any Eldritch currency we use on it is going to play with us, our prefixes instead of our suffixes, which is what we want. So let's grab some exalts. These things are actually mega expensive. These Eldritch currencies are very, very expensive at this point in the league. So yeah, let's hope we get lucky. And what we're going to do now is we're going to annul a prefix. So our exarch is dominant, confirmed, yes. So now we annul and it removes the prefixes. What we're looking now to hit is high % energy shield. And The best thing to block is going to be mana. Mana has a weight of 12,000. So we're going to block mana. We can actually rather type in, again, 25 to 34 and then remove crafted mods. You can do regex in your crafting bench. So here we go. We're going to bench on mana and then we're going to slam. That's tier 3 hybrid. You could stick with that if you wanted and then just bench on percent, but that'd be a little bit boring. So again, tier 2 hybrid, again, this is something you might settle with. This is something absolutely you might settle with where you're like, that's good enough. I'll just bench on the last bit. There is lightning to attacks, block, slam. Tier 6, that's not very good. Annul that off. Mana, block. Tier 5. Hopefully I'm not going too quickly, but what I'm just doing is I am annul, and then I'm blocking mana so I can't slam that on with the exalt. Exalting. If I don't like it, remove crafted mods, and then use the Eldritch annul, and then just repeat. Hybrid, remove that. Hybrid, remove. Tier 5. Again, we could go for like a Wild Bristle Matron and then Reforged Defense, but I think this is probably a little bit more cost effective. Depending on your budget, if you're playing this build though, like you probably have a little bit of currency. You don't have to constantly settle. Tier 4, that's not good enough. Tier 3, we haven't seen tier 1 once. Tier 4, I'm slowly dying inside. No. Oh my goodness, we got it. Holy moly. That was horrendous. And guess what? This isn't even the worst part. That's not even the worst part of these gloves. So we can also, if we just want to like pump up the ES, we can bench on this. So these gloves I have 348 ES, which is great. But the next thing is our implicits. So we're looking for something like this. Fizz converted to lightning and non-bar strike skills target 2 nearby additional enemies. The 2 nearby additional enemies is an exquisite modifier and it is Exarch, and that is quite expensive. So there's a couple of ways to do it. You can go for Grand Eldritch Embers. However, the maths works out that it is cheaper to rather start with Greater Eldritch Ember and then Orb of Conflicts it up to Exquisite. For anyone interested, I have done the maths. So if you're curious, yes, the Grands are 72 for a Divine. And then the exceptional, this is the exceptional blue one. And then we have to conflicts up. Conflicts are 310C. TLDR, it'll be about 8 divines-ish to get the thing if we do it when starting with grands. But if we start with greater, on average, it's going to be a little bit under 6 divines. If we don't get unlucky with the 50-50s, which we might. So it's just cheaper to start with the greaters rather than the grands. But I do have a few grands lying around, so we can try our luck. I have 4 that I just self-farmed, and we didn't hit it. So we're looking for non-vile skills. There we go. It's actually a 1 in 72 to hit this modifier, but now what we want to do is we're going to apply Grand. So we're going to apply this one, Grand Ichor, and the way that these conflicts work is that it has a higher chance to increase the lower tier modifier. So the mod we want to increase is Greater, which is lower than Grand, which is the blue one. So hopefully this should give us Grand on our non-bar strike skills, which it didn't, which is completely cursed, but it's not horrible. What we're just going to do now is go again for non-bar strike skills with Greater. There we go. We got it back. And now again, we've got Exceptional and then Greater. So, wow. It went down again. Are these things bugged? I swear this is happening way too much this league. I guess good news is that we have Exquisite on a prefix on the blue stuff. So there we go. Non-bar strike skills. Cool. And if this goes down again, I'm going to be shocked. Okay. So we've gone from Greater to Grand, and now we're going to do the same thing. So just hit it again. What is happening? We got some more. And again, that bottom line, chance of raising or lower depends on its relative strength. So that's insane. That is, these things are 100% bugged. We've got a perfect mod. It went from greater to perfect. Cool. That should hopefully help us later on, but I don't know if these things are actually bugs or if we're just getting like the most obscene bad luck, I guess. There we go. All right. You got it back, please. Grand. There we go. Double exceptional. And now we're at an actual 50-50. We don't have to use these, please. Yes. All right. So we got that to exquisite. Now, next thing we need to do is we need to get some grand Eldritch Icors. These are about 3.6 to 1. But what we need is convert to lightning. So there we go. If you want, you could try and push that up to 30%. You can do this with Imprint Beast, Christic Chimerals, but I'm happy with this. So, bit of a pain, like I said, but here are our gloves. They are done, and we can give these guys a little bit of a price check. So let's just see. I, in retrospect, shouldn't have settled for tier 2, but I mean, it's the difference between like, what, 7 int? Let's see, we've got let's just say that int, get rid of that, and then we can actually add on our prefixes and see what comes up. So we're looking now at completed gloves. We're actually including these implicits as well. So this one has tier 2, it has 332 ES. That one has 348. So these are actually slightly better. This guy's selling for 190, which is probably a little bit high. Let's get rid of the implicits and see how high this sells. 90 divines, and that's with this. As you saw, getting those implicits is actually a pain in the butt. So people will, especially armor stackers, will pay a premium just to not have to do that. But you can see like 90 divines, 95 divines, 145 divines, 148. This guy started with a fractured int. I think we could probably list ours for like 150, more like 140 or so, because there's ones like this that are better than ours. A little bit more ES. It has also tier 1 intelligence. I really should have gone for that in retrospect, but I'd say these are probably worth about 130. Here are our gloves. They, despite the annoyance, these did not cost anything close to 120 divines. I made a lot of currency this league crafting armor stacker gear. So let's put up for 120 and see if they sell. So that's the craft. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm not going to do the chest, but the helmet video should be out before this, and I made loads of profit on these. And same with the helmet, the rings. There are so many good profit crafting things. Before you try this, just make sure that it's not cheap as buy. Maybe a lot of people are going to be crafting this. That's going to be it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that stuff. Join the Twitch, Patreon. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Catch you in the next video, and bye-bye.
Exile, you're making me nervous.